Welcome to another podcast with Politics Happens. What we're talking about mainly today is the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Our guest today, Cyril Kutcher.
In fact, it's the biggest war in Europe, interstate war, since the Second World War. This is not the first war. Russo-Ukrainian War, 1918 to 1921. So this was back when Ukraine was previous time independent. Ukraine left without resources, without allies, was just annexed, incorporated into the Soviet Union as a Ukrainian Soviet Republic.
Right.
Ukrainians as a nation were repressed, and the most horrific was Holodomor, famine, to starve for nearly 6 million Ukrainians. New Zealand is the only country of the OECD which has not recognized this famine as an intentional genocide of Ukrainians by Russia.
Right.
Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapon in exchange of security assurance, and security assurance was from Russia, but also from United Kingdom and United States. And it's seen as a mistake by many other nations, smaller nations now, which observe this war.
The title of the book, Z Empire, or if you're American, Z Empire Unmasked. Your book has a foreword by the Ukrainian ambassador. Your main argument in the book is that the what is happening in invasion by Russia of Ukrainian territory, it's not just, you're arguing that it shouldn't be seen as just another regional conflict, but instead it's, as you put it, a resurgent imperialism. It's a fight, it's an imperial power fighting against a rules-based order.
They think that there are only big civilizations and big countries who are entitled to the concept of sovereignty, and their aim is to expand the Russian world.
Probably not many listeners know about Transnistria, but I think you also mentioned other areas like Chechnya, Georgia, but also, of course, Russia is acting further afield. It's been into Syria and a good deal of Africa. Why the letter Z or Z? What's the significance of that?
So this is a symbol of their mobilization for war. It represents the ideology of aggression out of the country. And this is a symbol which Russians themselves united behind. It represents similar what for European represented Nazi swastika.
Tell us a little bit about Ukrainians in New Zealand. We do have a lively Ukrainian community.
Ukrainians here support Ukrainians in Ukraine by means we can. Individuals petitioned Parliament. We organized exhibition to educate New Zealanders. People united to start making stalls on the Britomart market, which happens every other Saturday. Radio podcast on Otago Radio. It's called Borscht Club, and it's all about Ukraine, Ukrainian culture, Ukrainians in New Zealand, and war. As a New Zealander, what I'm concerned of is with the complacency about peace, about being so distant and having this natural barrier of oceans that no trouble will reach us, but also complacency with lies and propaganda, which is treated as an opinion instead of acting and preempting it. The destiny of the world order rests now in Ukraine. If Ukraine falls, Russia and its autocratic allies will proceed with further conquests, with further remaking of the world order into the might makes right.
Which comes back to that key theme in your book, doesn't it? That it's a conflict between a resurgent imperialism, as you put it, and a rules-based order. And I think that, you're absolutely on the nail there, because a country like New Zealand depends heavily on the rules-based order. The behavior of the Russian regime is it's completely out of order. It's simply illegal, and it's, as you say, prosecuting imperial ambitions.
Ukrainians basically on the front edge of the technology development. So war pushes technology innovations, but also technology reshapes this war. And drones, and this is now being called drone war, and future wars will be drone wars. So there is a lot to learn from Ukrainians who used it very effectively. And also communications. I think not many know that during the Cyclone Gabriela emergency response, we used base stations to provide mobile coverage connection for people using the Starlink satellite connection. But the pioneers of that were Ukrainians during the war, and sharing their experience with New Zealanders helped New Zealand to react faster. Towns in eastern Ukraine are annihilated, literally. Ukrainians stand grounds, not because victory is certain, but because submission is unthinkable. Genocide will repeat. For Ukrainians, it's a real threat, and the threat which all Eastern Europeans realize.
War crimes that the Russian forces and Vladimir Putin himself are accused of, particularly in relation, for instance, to the abduction of children. Those sorts of war crimes are really serious, and they do contribute to a case which could one day be a case of genocide.
While there is no world war, this is in power of every nation to prevent it, to stand together with those who fight, help them diplomatically, isolating the aggressor, with economic sanctions, helping Ukrainian fight, but also thinking about own defense. And New Zealand must be prepared. New Zealand must rethink alliances, invest more in defense, innovative defense. And another characteristic of this war is being hybrid. It's also informational war. And we must not forget about it, and we must come up with tools which will help us defend ourselves, our minds from it.
This is an information war as much as anything. And I think one of the strategies of contemporary information war is not necessarily to make people believe something, but simply to sow doubt in their minds about something. Cyril, where can listeners find your book, which is displayed behind you?
Oh, yeah, it's easy. It's available on Amazon, hardcover and paperback, full color. And also it will be available on the upcoming New Zealand Institute of International Affairs event.
Let's keep thinking about the nature of this conflict. Don't see it, as you've said, as merely a regional conflict, a scrap between neighbours, so to speak. It has much greater significance than that. And there are things that I think, we can all be doing to support our Ukrainian neighbours in New Zealand, but also to be raising awareness of the nature of the conflict, talking to maybe politicians in New Zealand about what we can do to increase at least some kind of diplomatic pressure to get this matter resolved properly. And of course, I guess the proper resolution, of course, would be ultimately for Russian forces simply to withdraw from the territory that they're illegally occupying. But
military defeat and prosecution of the aggressor. So this is the only path to peace.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Grant.
Yeah, okay, and take care.